So, while my character in the movie may be able to see the future, I also can. And I know what the future brings. I know that when you see Madam Web, you're gonna love it. In fact, I think you're gonna see it twice.
So, I love Madam Web. I love it. It's great. I love it so much, and I like to present it like this in my house. Or I'm just a compulsive gaslighter, and I don't even like women. Or webs. I'm allergic to both. And due to my own unfortunate womanhood, I'm about to spontaneously combust in the next 30 minutes or so. Since I always thought I did not capitalize on my weird ass name enough, and I'm dying anyways, I finally made a decision to take my own nuts into my own hands and juggle it a little bit by starting a segment on my channel where I talk about movies that personally drive me nuts. Well, more nuts than I already am. Madam Web is a painful movie. So painful, in fact, I started bleeding from my vagina as I was watching it. That can't be good. I don't even know how that's possible. I think it's my lethal allergies finally kicking in. Good. To quote my kindred spirit Oscar Wilde,
Spider people.
Madam Web and I are fighting a duel to death, and one or the other of us has got to go. The first frame in Madam Web is a Nikon product placement. I meant a woman in Amazon researching spiders, staring at what appears to be a very fascinating spider web, as we watch a suspicious figure loom behind her as he dubiously opens up an umbrella. And that is when we meet the villain of the movie. The fucking dialogue.
I agreed to provide security for you because I thought you were close to finding the spider.
That spider can give superhuman strength and power like.
These little spiders have the potential to cure hundreds of diseases.
On the other hand, much to the thrill to my inner ear-sensitive vestibular system, this entire film is shot like the cameraman is just casually fiddling and adjusting the lens as we're watching the movie. The sheer amount of zoom-ins and zoom-outs gave my cat zoomies. And she's not even in the same fucking room. Did you know that Madam Web is the first ever baby to be born without an umbilical cord? Or maybe the lack of organic wiring is just a side effect of your mom being bitten by a radioactive spider. You know, this movie makes me think a lot about being bitten by a venomous arthropod. Madam Web is like a propaganda movie for spiders, but like, if it was actually made by spiders. Maybe that is why it comes across so emotionally stilted. Watching it attempt to install emotions into its audience is like watching a baby elephant try to bark. For example, after we leave the Amazons at the beginning of the film, there's a scene that means to be funny by having a doctor come up to inform now adult Miss Webb that the patient she fast and furioused into the hospital 2 seconds ago is going to be okay, only for Miss Webb to go, who's going to be okay? Cause how absurd, right? That she wouldn't remember the existence of her own patient. The only way I can imagine this scene getting any funnier would be if a little sweet kid ran up to her and offered her a little cute painting as a thank you, and she rolled her eyes at him, acted all offended, and said, what am I even supposed to do with this? And planned to throw it into trash? That would be so funny. Ironically though, despite the scene being terrible at social cues, it's still successful at establishing Miss Webb as a true, perfect female superhero, entitled Uncaring with a slight note of sociopathy. Just the way I like 'em. Oh, and Miss Superior Tits is also here, but I could barely recognize her. Something's missing. Maybe even 2 things. Oh no, I know. It's that fucking wig, isn't it?
Can't even fold it. It's like cardboard.
I know, right? Now you understand the pain all of us feel having to watch you in this goddamn movie. Or any movie.
Come on. We both hate family stuff.
Imagine being Dakota Johnson, waking up one morning and actively making a decision to put more effort into casually but completely successfully convincing the entire world that you love limes for no reason, then into the lines you get paid millions of dollars to deliver. So CGI Dakota Johnson falls into a river and we go on a nonsensical acid trip during which we discovered that she has some sort of supernatural powers. And fun fact, all the visions that she gets during during it are a foreshadowing for happenings in all the rest of the film. Storytelling, am I right? Oh, I love it. It's great. I love it so much, and I like to present it like this in my house.
3 vehicles, 1 vehicle flipped over with traffic.
Okay, that's enough. Who gave someone's edgelord nepos on a fucking camera? Also, what's up with these spider movies and cars falling off the bridges? I'm legitimately curious. Now, it's time to talk about the villain. Every single scene this Mr. Villain Man appears in is written, directed, shot, acted, and dubbed like an over-budgeted porno. Except it's even worse, because the only thing getting off here is me. Off this chair. Excuse me, I need a fucking break. And a hot take, well, more like a room temperature one, since there's nothing even remotely lukewarm about this movie. The actor playing the villain might as well have given the worst performance in all of Marvel history.
They're teenagers now, but in the future, they have powers, and they will try to destroy me. I came from nothing, less than nothing. I will not give up everything I've built and have my life cut short.
The stone face, constant nauseating vocal fry, and the most outrageously wooden line delivery, despite EDRing 99%, if not 100% of his lines. You know how talented you have to be at being the worst actor of all time to make Dakota Johnson's performance seem like not just the second, but third worst in the movie. Second place, by the way, goes to Miss Jeans. If throwing very convincing temper tantrums on cue was synonymous with good acting abilities, darling, half of Twitch would be Academy darlings. Dora and Token Black Girl are acting two-dimensional circles around Sweeney in this one-dimensional film.
Heard that.
But it may or may not be because they're more accustomed to actually wearing shirts in their movies. There's a scene 30 minutes into this film where I almost handed it its flowers. Well, more like those shitty decorative plastic ones that are always dusty because no one ever bothers to actually clean them. There is a scene that almost works. Don't get me wrong, it's not good, but it almost accomplishes what it sets out to do. Communicates the intended information, evokes the right feelings. A building is on fire and Miss Webb is giving some guy CPR, and suddenly she starts to get sporadic random visions, flashing back and forward in time until everything blurs together. And for the first time in the movie, we're in sync with the storytelling. We are just as confused as Madame Webb is supposed to be. Well, in theory, I have no idea what's going on in that skull. As the scene progresses, we, as the audience, along with Madame Webb, realize with utmost certainty that the guy that just appeared out of nowhere in the movie, that is standing in front of a burning building that is falling apart, is about to die. Now, guess what happens next? We abruptly break out of the little fun time lapse that we had, only to watch the guy walk away from the burning building, get into the truck, drive away from the burning building, and not at all comically get hit by another truck in the driveway. And we're out of sync with the movie again. Miss Banks is breaking down, crying, screaming, and this very sad music is playing in the background. And if you look very closely to her left, you'll notice a very cute little elephant sitting right next to her, saying, "Excuse my English, but who the fuck is this guy?" And if we want it to be emotional and believable, why couldn't it be Adam Scott's completely, utterly useless ass instead? Oh, I know why. It's because, as it turns out, Adam Scott is very, very important. He is actually the reason why Madame Webb is the movie it is today. Well, kinda. And you're probably thinking, what do you mean? Didn't you say he's completely useless in this film? And I say, exactly. He is useless. And to explain exactly what I mean, I have to take a little bit of a detour to explain exactly how and why Madame Webb ended up to be the disastrous masterpiece it is today. Unless you actually cared enough to pay attention to this film, spend too much time on Reddit, or for some reason are oddly fixated on Madame Webb trivia, you wouldn't pay attention to the fact that Adam Scott's character in this film goes by the name of Ben. Now here's some actual trivia for you. Can you name another character in the Spider-Verse with the same exact legal name? And if you thought Ben motherfucking Parker, you're exactly motherfucking right. Adam Scott was meant to be Uncle Ben in this movie. And pregnant Emma Roberts is named Mary, as in Mary Parker. And her pregnant tummy? You fucking guessed it. It is Peter freaking Parker. So many P's. However, the odd thing is that not only are these characters completely useless in the story, but also their Parkerness has nothing to do with anything at all. They might as well be just two random characters. So why are they here? And most importantly, why are they Parkers? Is this just a cool fan service detail for the outmost, most devoted of Madam Web fans? Well, if that's the case, why does the movie seem to go out of its way to withhold their surnames, or any connection to Peter Parker to the point of avoiding the literal mentioning of his name?
Does it have a name?
We're saving that for one of the games.
So, if not for the story, and if not for the fan service, again, why are they here? Well, it's because this movie at some point was meant to be a completely different film.
I'm really curious, like, how much did this change from start to finish? Like, from what you read and you signed on for Madam Web to what we see on screen, was there a lot of changes or not so much?
There were drastic changes.
Though it has never been officially confirmed, it's safe to say that originally Parkers were meant to be the centerpiece of Madam Web's story. The villain Ezekiel was meant to travel back in time to go after Peter Parker's fetus to keep him from becoming Spider-Man in the future. And Spider-Women, who would in fact have actual powers, would come in to stop him. That was the story, hence the Parkers. That much is clear. However, the reason why the plot was scrapped is much more blurry. But if I had to take a guess, it probably all boils down to Sony wanting to bank on MCU's Spider-Man success, but cowarding out last minute in fears of probable business repercussions from Disney. And as a result, we got a gutted script, last minute, barely strung together plot, useless characters, no clear direction, vision, narrative, or purpose. And that is Madam Web for you. Man. Anyway, let's talk about one of the worst action sequences in movie history. So, Mr. Villain Man's whole shtick is that he wants to kill a trio of 30-year-old, 13-year-olds because he keeps getting dreams of them killing him in the future. So he stalks them to the train station, except Miss Banks is luckily also there to stop him.
What exactly is this emergency?
This woman's trying to abduct us!
What? No, that's not... Shh.
That's your emergency. That.
Now, here's the thing. Spider-Man crawl. Not because crawling is the most efficient way of transporting your body across a surface, but because it is the most efficient way of moving across a vertical surface, if you have no other more gravity-friendly surface. Meaning you don't have a fucking ground. Unless you're a part of a very high-stakes, highly competitive round of The Floor is Lava, there's virtually zero reason why you would ever need or want to crawl horizontally, when you have a simple option of just jumping down and simply walking, which is 10,000 times quicker, especially if you're murderously chasing somebody. I don't know why this would be an alarming sight for anyone. If I thought I was being chased by a murderous psycho, seeing this would actually put me at ease. Maybe that is why they're all running like that. And somehow it gets even worse because in the following scenes, our Spider-Girls keep referring back to the villain as a ceiling guy. And I am gonna pee myself. Out of fear, of course.
Hey!
That guy was not.
No, he's not. That's my name.
Same person police are seeking to question in the possible abduction of the 3 teenage girls. Eyewitnesses have identified the woman in her early 30s. The public has been asked for info
What?
from
That's...
girls.
But you guys, what about them? He was crawling on the ceiling. What about that guy? I mean, you saw,
Girl, fuck the potential abduction of children. You just stole an entire car in the plain sight in the middle of the very busy New York street. It's a miracle you're not behind the bars as we speak. Madam Web is actually a very educative movie. I, for one, learned that if you're ever forced to babysit annoying 30-year-olds who are being chased by a murderous psycho, you can just deposit them in the nearest forest and hope that they'll starve to death before you even have to move a finger, while you go on and hang out with your cat. Also, if the blatant overuse of Britney Spears didn't let you know already, this movie is supposed to be set in 2003. And it's also obviously written by a person who does not remember what life without an Instagram looked like. Just look at the gadgets they use, even if you count that somehow hardware of 2000s was that advanced. At least instruct your underpaid intern to attempt to make the software look at least a bit less modern. And in case you're 5 years old, just like the people who made this movie, here's a thing about newspapers. It's a piece of fucking paper. It's static. It's not a screen on your smartphone or Twitter that refreshes your news real time. Printing and distribution of physical media is a slow process. It takes at least a day to print one, and that is if we're being generous. Now tell me, how do these girls walk out of the forest into the diner and have a man be sitting there reading a newspaper with the news of their own abduction on the front page? Am I meant to believe that over the course of the last 5 minutes, these girls have spent at least a day in this goddamn forest without food or water? I mean, imagine being so stupid that you don't even know how paper works. Now multiply that across the entire production team, and as a result, you calculate the official IQ of Madame Web the movie. You can just smell how the lack of smartphones bothered the writers. How do we get someone to call the cops on these girls? How did people even receive information in the Stone Age? Do we need to employ one more CGI pigeon? Anyone? Oh, I know. We can get them to read it in the newspaper. Also, am I meant to believe that a single woman is listening and surveilling the entire nationwide emergency communications network? You know what? Why not? So finally, Madame Web shows up and gets these girls into a fucking motel and teaches them CPR. Except...
But you can offset cardiac arrest with CPR.
It's crazy that even a movie about a literal paramedic still does not give enough of a fuck to do basic research to find out basic difference between a literal hand and a defibrillator. CPR does not magically revive people from a cardiac arrest. It does not restart the heart. It can't. It's exclusively a maneuver to keep the blood flow going in the organ to buy time while you're waiting for the actual paramedics to arrive. You'd think a literal, paramedic would know that. Okay, it's official. Not only is she a shitty person, but a shitty nurse too. Great. So Madame Bangs brings the girls to Mark S. and Emma Roberts, and over the course of 2 minutes of screen time, she is suddenly in Peru, standing in some random forest in hopes that some magical creature will come up to her and explain everything. And some magical guy does come up and explain everything, except I guess this time makeup and prosthetics team ran out of budget or something. Here, Madame Web comes to face her biggest challenge yet, having to rewatch her own damn movie. Welcome to the club, sweetheart. She also finds out the reason her heavily pregnant mom decided to vacation to a wild jungle was not because she was a stupid, inconsiderate cunt, but because she was an ableist, stupid, inconsiderate cunt. You see, there's a difference. And Madame Web is thrilled to hear it, because turns out her fetus had a neuromuscular disorder, and her mom was like, no, not on my watch. I am not giving birth to a disabled child.
No, I need a cure. No, I'm unwilling to accept a diagnosis of helplessness.
I would rather kill the child and myself in Amazonian wilderness than give birth to a disabled person. And Madame Web is like, aw, Mommy, I didn't know you were only risking my life to save me from a disability. You did it! You fixed me! You cured me! I am not disabled! Yay! It's kind of inspiring how passionately this movie hates disabled people. Still a better fucking backstory than Rey Skywalker, though.
And when you take on the responsibility, great power will come.
If I ever hear another shitty-ass rendition of that goddamn quote ever again, I swear to fucking God. Oh, this woman is also surveilling every surveillance camera in the country too. US government should just cancel FBI and hire her instead. Damn, who needs AI when you have women, am I right? So you're telling me that Madame Web not only got to freely drive around in this car for days after stealing it without discovery, she also somehow managed to take a trip to Peru and back and still have that goddamn car waiting for her. You know what? why not? Except this ungrateful sees a literal ambulance car and thinks, you know what? I'm gonna take that one instead. You'd think a literal paramedic would know better than anyone else not to steal a literal ambulance car. You know, the one that keeps people from dying for the sake of convenience? Oh, now he's running on a vertical surface. Great, why not? You know what is the best way to keep people from getting killed by a psychotic murderer? Just crush them to death by your own van before he gets to do it. I love how camera just hangs on him as we watch him lamely and slowly walk up, and the moment he is about to do something cool, we cut away. Now here's my film theory. I think Madame Web is secretly collabing with Mr. Villain Man, and she is the secret main bad guy of this movie. Because explain to me how every time she is given a chance, she will go out of her way to endanger these poor elderly girls. First, she abandons and strands them in an empty, strange forest, completely defenseless, then abandons them again to vacation to Peru, then deliberately chooses to run them over and somehow doesn't, and now that a psycho killer is chasing them yet again, she locks them in a death trap building filled with explosives and sets it on fire.
This doesn't look safe. Well, it's full of explosives and it's structurally unsound. That doesn't sound safe. It's a death trap.
How is this meant to help anyone? It's like if your hand caught fire and you spilled gasoline all over yourself to snuff it out. And since I'm already halfway there to being a certified elementary school teacher, here's a few things about fireworks. They are in fact capable of setting people and buildings on fire. They can even be lethal in very specific contexts, but they are not guided missiles or flaming cannonballs. And I would know that because I've seen it first fucking hand being used against other people. A firework is a collection of powder, specks, dust, and paper. It can't take down a brick wall or put a hole through it. And it for sure can't throw somebody off the fucking building. It doesn't fly around like a magical fireball. If you get hit by a firework, it probably won't even move you an inch. You might potentially get injured or burnt, but the chances of it even being lethal is pretty fucking low unless you swallow it or something. So if you're around them a lot, I highly advise against being a mouth breather. And don't even get me started on blowing up and taking down entire fucking helicopters. If this movie had at least 2 brain cells, it would end with Madame Dumbass with a life sentence for reckless endangerment, arson, criminal mischief, and manslaughter. Also possibly for the destruction of governmental aircraft property. Oh, and how could I forget the cab, the ambulance. The ambulance all by itself would be enough to give her at least 10 years. Madame Web is just such a good person. Too bad she's disabled at the end. Did you know that the scrapped sequel was going to be about her zombified mom raising from dead to get her ass for daring to become disabled? So, to finish off the film, they do this stupid dark ray thing where purely for clickbait marketing purposes, they throw in a completely random and irrelevant vision scene at the end where the trio are in spandex battling fuck knows what with their superpowers that they don't even have, ever had, nor will ever get in this movie, while Dakota is giving the most inspiring monotonologue. I can see you.
Standing up for what you believe.
And I'm like, what do they believe? I don't know these people, aside from the fact that they have shitty parents and like to dance on tables in crowded diners.
Whatever the future holds. We'll be ready.
Ready for what? Saving the world? Saving New York? Saving a squirrel? The only thing our main characters accomplished in this movie was not dying. I do that every day. Where's my movie?
And you know the best thing about the future? It hasn't happened yet.
And you know the best thing about a fork? It can always be found in the kitchen. This movie is so stupid, even my cat is smarter than it. And my cat is pretty fucking stupid, even for a cat. If this is what we women get up to if emancipated, maybe we should stick to the kitchen after all. So that was Madam Web, the first chosen movie for my new segment that I will continue only if you make sure to let me know that you want me to by liking and commenting, and also suggesting what more movies you would like me to break down in this format. But also let me know if you did not in fact like this and would rather have me stick to video essays, which I will continue to make either way. So yeah, that was Nuts on Nuts.